high. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show that River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show. Don't give us the bug. Don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show that River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show. Oh.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live, Tuesday, the 5th of August. Live here on YouTube, on X, Twitch, Facebook, everywhere these days. You with Steve Wyss and Nigel Seeley. Penultimate round of Champions League qualifying, Nigel. This is when it starts to get a bit more serious in Europe's premier club competition. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Steve. Yeah, you know when it gets serious in the Champions League because we have our yellow jackets on. And I know it's not 100% serious as yet because the yellow jackets haven't been warm. I was waiting to see if you had them on. If you had it on, I got it on standby to go running next door and get it on. But if Steve Wyss hasn't got the yellow jacket on, then we know that the Champions League hasn't just arrived in the true style that we want it to. That's the gauge. When those jackets get well worn, then we know we're in business. So yes, good mate. I like the intro song. I thought it was pretty good. Get back to sort of Studio 52 there kind of vibe. It was quite cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, these I'm a bit of a fair weather gambler when it comes to I try to keep it quite lazy and go for a Premier League and League Championship and various different leagues. It takes a little bit of research to do some of these matches, but there is a couple of bets I quite like. One prop in particular I quite like. But I did draw the line on the match between the Maltese champions and the Tel Aviv. I thought that I'll leave that to you by that one.
Yeah, do you know what? It's interesting. Final playoff round. That's when they play the Champions League music at the grounds.
Oh,
so I was debating that could be the yellow jacket intro for the year, or you wait till the group stage when everyone's in it. I don't know. I've not decided yet. I'll think. But yeah, welcome in everyone. Byron, good to see you. Duncan. Yeah, it was a good win for Hearts yesterday, wasn't it? Of course, Tony Bloom getting off to a good start there as a 30% investor at the club. Duncan, Rick Haley, Stephen Lynn, Brian M, ZT, Effie, good to see you. Tristan, Ian, and William Jenner, of course, as well. Plenty to discuss today. Champions League qualifying, Europa League, Conference League, and later on we're going to have a look at the EFL Cup and an early look at the English Championship market as well, the futures. Yesterday, I tell you where there was a lot of money staked on the on Bet River Sportsbook. It was actually in a friendly. Liverpool against Athletic Bilbao. Over 3.5 goals at $5,000 plus 108. Easy winner. I think Liverpool were 3-0 up at half-time in that game. Already looking like they're scoring plenty of goals.
Yeah, Gakpo got 2 and he got an own goal as well. He got an own goal in that one. They played twice, didn't they? They played 2 matches. So they played them twice just in a double header.
Did it 2 games? Oh,
yeah, they played them 2 games. So they played one match with a different 11 and they put another 11 out in the second match. They played them both at Anfield. They had 11 out for the first 90 minutes and then put a second side out. There's 2 games.
That's the first Premier League game of the season, isn't it? I think it's at Anfield. Liverpool-Bournemouth next Friday to kick things off. I'm already thinking goals in that, Nigel. But it's early days. My biggest bet yesterday on the soccer was actually FK Van against Armenia live under 1.5 goals at minus 128.
It wasn't my bet. It wasn't my bet for sure. That wasn't my bet.
Melinda says, with the big leagues coming back, I wonder if you might do a review from last season. But the thing is, I always like to look ahead, Melinda, really, rather than looking behind. We've conducted our reviews. So, we go into the new season looking ahead. Don't you worry about that. And yeah, that Gothenburg game did me very well yesterday. Max Fenger delivered. Red card after 4 minutes. Was perfect, really. And shout out to Nathan as well, who is best bet of the day. Won in Brazil. Santos on the Asian handicap. Neymar with 2 goals there. And if you want to check out Nathan's thoughts on the League's Cup coming up this evening in America, check out yesterday's show because we did cover that card yesterday. So before we move on, the newsletter. Betting Weekly newsletter. Please do subscribe to it for free. Sign up for it, so is a better way of saying it. 2 newsletters a week on Monday and Friday. The Insider, of course, is the famed edition. And this is great content. There's been some great league previews on this Insider, and you just got to sign up for free, haven't you, Nigel? No extras on top of that. It's a dead easy process.
Yep.
www.bettingweeklystudios.com.
It's all very free. Every time it goes out on the Friday, I think the newsletter, the Insider, looks absolutely fantastic. So it's a good read. Lots of stats in there, lots of information from the teams, and lots of stuff coming up. We're covering stuff, the new season's over here in Europe, and obviously the up and coming American sports being covered as well. College football, NFL, and obviously the US Open tennis as well, which is all happening this month and going into the start of next as well. So a really, really busy period here on the channel.
Yeah, just talking of NFL, there's actually two notable house specials today, which I've got to read out. Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson to win the MVP, now boosted to plus 250, and the Eagles or Chiefs to win the most games in the regular season. That is boosted to plus 310. So if you're interested in that and getting on an early bet in the NFL, then those are some house specials. But today in the Champions League, we've got 4 qualifiers to get through. We start in Sweden. Malmo against FC Copenhagen. This match is being dubbed the Battle of the Bridge. It is, I think it's record-breaking territory today. It's the shortest ever international away trip in Champions League history. Just 28 kilometres between the two teams. I think there's only 2 sides in the Danish league who are actually closer to Copenhagen than Malmo. So they're basically separated by a massive bridge across the strait there between Sweden and Denmark. Huge rivalry between the two sides. They don't really like each other. And I personally think Malmo are a definite bet here. I mentioned this on the newsletter. You could take them at draw no bet on minus 112 if you want to put a big stake. But I think the money line here on Malmo at plus 180 is absolutely worth betting on. They're in great form. They're in the middle of their season. They've won 7 straight games. They've got a very good manager, actually, in Henrik Rydström, who I personally believe will actually be in the running around November, December for perhaps a Premier League job or a Championship job. He was on the shortlist for Brighton last year, but they went with Fabian Herzala in the end. If you're on Tony Bloom's shortlist, I think you're doing something right, Nigel. Very good technical coach. Probably nearly outgrown his stay at Malmo, really. And I really like opposing the Danish sides. I'm going to be opposing every single Danish side this week in Europe. I don't like what I'm seeing from that league. I don't like what I'm seeing from the teams. FC Copenhagen only just squeezed past a team called Dritter in the previous round. 2 penalties did the job. They were like the -3 favourite. The Kosovan champions, not very inspiring. And the other Danish teams have only just squeezed by. Midtjylland needed extra time to see off Hibs. And one of the other teams only just got past the 3rd bottom team in Iceland. So you can sometimes get a feeling, I do personally, where what leagues are strong in Europe at a certain time. And I think the Danish league is not in a great state right now. Malmo at home, big crowd behind them. It's going to be a passionate support. And I think they're going to feel like they're going to need to win. For all I've criticised FC Copenhagen there, the one thing we do know about them is that in their own home leg in the second leg, Parken is a bit of a fortress. So you don't want to be going there trailing or drawing. So again, I think for me, Malmo, it's a really good bet. Plus 180. I'm not normally this aggressive. To be honest, I normally would go the safe bet for mono bet, but minus 112 as opposed to plus 180 in a match they feel they're probably going to need to win. I'm going to have to be more aggressive here, Nigel. I don't know if that's normally your sort of thing, or are you more of a draw no bet?
Well, I think if they're the outsiders at home, which is saying something. I mean, there's not really much of a home advantage. You say just the short trip across, but obviously that they are the home side there, and plus 180 to get teams at home in Champions League at these kind of prices is something that you might want to look at. You will know a lot more about Swedish league than I would, and but there was a few things that I looked at here, particularly from a sort of betting perspective. The first thing I thought of, obviously, we know it's a first round, a first leg match, but I was quite surprised how short the 2.5, how short the under 2.5 goal mark it was. I mean, under 2.5 goals in this match is minus 175 with the over plus 133. That surprised me. I just thought that they may be looking at that thinking that is that that's a line that they may pay a little bit of respect, and obviously that's to do with the price of the money line being +180 and the draw being so low at $2. If you look at Malmo this season, you said they've won their last 7. There's been some very, very heavy scoring games in them. 14 goals in the last 4 games. They scored at least 2 in 6 of their last 7. Obviously, this is a Champions League game, and it's huge, huge money at stake, and it's going to have that little bit of edginess. But there was nothing that I saw that meant that this should be an under -175 or 2.5. Copenhagen on the other side seemed to be a little bit more defensively strong, but obviously the caliber of opponents they played in the Champions League, a 1-0 and a 2-0 win, 4 clean sheets in their last 4 in their last 5 matches. 5 matches they played, 5 wins. Obviously they did really well last year in the Conference League. They was the team that really pushed Chelsea give them the most difficult task in the whole tournament, really. So they have got a bit of European potential. Should they be +165? I'm bowing to your expertise here. The only thing I would say here for me, and this is something that I always look at in terms of how I handicap and how I look at matches. Now, Malmo have won 7 and they're unbeaten in their last 10 matches. But this hasn't really helped them. The fixture here is they've got to play the league leaders, Malby, on Saturday. And that is a big, big match for them, because if they're currently about, I think they're 9 points adrift from them at the top of the table. No, 10 points adrift. So they're the runaway leaders. And if they could get something from that result, they're banging the title race again and puts pressure on them. So it's whether they think to themselves, right, we can still run down the league leaders, or we're going to go everything and get this big money-making opportunity to get into the Champions League groups. I think it's a bit of both, really. But when I bet teams in the Champions League, I don't like it when they play top-of-the-table clashes. If you look at teams in Champions League football who have big matches at the top of the table, in their next league match, I don't think it's profitable to do that. I'll look at some research on it, but I'm just going from my gut feeling. I don't think it's profitable to do it. So that would be my only slight worry. I was looking at the goals, maybe 2 goals on the Asian line over. I'll go over, but I think it's going to be, I think it's a difficult one to call. You can see from the betting there, but you are the expert on this league. You know much more about them than me, and I would go with your knowledge. But I would be slightly concerned that Malmo have the top team on Saturday. If they're playing a mid-table side or a team 6th from bottom, then they'll go all in for this one. But it's whether they think they can still challenge in the Swedish title. That's my concern.
Yeah, that is a very unfortunate fixture for them. The good thing is they didn't have a match at the weekend, so they've had plenty of time to prepare for this first leg. At the weekend, I'll be against them. I think Malmo win that game, actually. But Malmo, in this particular instance, I think they're going to be desperate to... Whoever actually wins this tie has got a great chance of qualifying for the league stage, because the winner will face Basel. And I don't think they're that good, the Swiss champions. I would back either of these two sides to get past against Basel. Just looking at the comments, and I thought there might be a bit of support for Copenhagen. Jan Philip, he's liking DMB on Copenhagen. Effie Brilovsky has got a lean on them. And William Jenner. Yeah, Copenhagen have kept 4 straight clean sheets. I've seen quite a bit of them recently. They seem quite a boring side to me. Very low on corners. They cut inside so much. In fact, this probably will be a match with not many corners if both sides play to their style. It could be a bit heated for the referee as well. I could see there being a bit stop-start with fouls and stuff like that. I don't know about both teams to score. Yes, Brian, really. I could see this being 1-0 or 2-0, to be honest with you. I think it will be a home win. And to qualify Malmo at +170, I think you could do worse than betting on that as well, actually. In terms of the money for the game, 65% of the money is on Copenhagen. 91% of the money is on that over. And you're absolutely right, Nigel. Malmo games recently have been full of goals. They've just started to fire at the right time of the season, I think. Big squad.
It looks to me like 2 very, very different sides in terms of that. Malmo entertaining, goal scoring, Copenhagen much more defensive minded, much more, much more stronger defensively, and much more slightly boring to watch, won't we say? So there is a contrast in styles here. So they may cancel each other out. But this is a big match for both sides. I just think under 2.5 goals at -175. I mean, I can't remember a game for this time last season or in Champions League where 2.5 has been -175. It seems a very, very low line. I know that, someone said there's some recent history head-to-heads were under 2.5. Yeah, okay, I get that. But, Malmo will have to, the home side have got to get something from this match. It's a fiery encounter, sellout crowd. don't know. Just got a feeling that under, however much it might look like an under game, it comes a price, but the price isn't attractive. And I think minus 175 it isn't not an attractive price. I'm not going to have a bet on this match at all. There's a couple of bets I like. Well, one bet I particularly like later on, and one parlay I like, but I wouldn't bet on this one. But if you're saying me Malmo a bet, that's good enough for me. But I will be going with the draw no bet as the dog, with Malmo getting that draw on my side, because it's 2-1 the draw. You know, the Bet Rivers fancy draw. There's been money for the draw today. The line on the draw has been, and I'd rather, you know, if you're looking at plus 180 on the money line or even money on the draw no bet, I think I'll take the even money on the draw no bet with the draw as well.
For anyone after a goal scorer, the one I would look at is actually Tahar Ali, plus 480. Doesn't always start, but he's a really good technical player. Rate him quite highly. I don't really know why he's still in Sweden, to be honest. Too good for that league, in my personal opinion. So if you are after a scorer, then he could be the one there. The next kickoff is actually in Poland. Dynamo Kyiv against Pafos. Neutral territory, of course, minus 152 on Dynamo Kyiv. Pafos, the Cypriot champions, at plus 420. I mean, I'm a bit surprised, actually, Dynamo Kyiv are at these odds. I thought they'd be a bit shorter, to be honest with you, Nigel. We got Pafos. I noticed their pre-season warm-up games included facing the likes of Leyton Orient and AFC Wimbledon, which is rather interesting. I just think Dynamo Kyiv are quite a step up in class, personally. Everyone thinks that the Ukrainian league is not really good at the moment, but themselves, Shakhtar, have been doing very well in qualifying. And yeah, I think this is, for me, a home win here. I think Dynamo Kyiv are definitely the better side, and they're well used to these neutral territory things now in Poland.
And if you look at those matches against AFC Wimbledon and Leyton Orient, they drew with AFC Wimbledon 2-2, and they lost. They won 1-0, didn't they, against Leyton Orient? So, and you know, they put what I looked at the team, they put out a fairly decent side for those matches as well. So they're struggling to beat English League One sides, and now they're up against Dynamo Kyiv. Obviously, this isn't like the great Dynamo Kyivs of years gone by, but I actually thought Dynamo Kyiv would be a lot short here, and I fancied them quite strong tonight. That was my bet, actually. I like the parlay. We'll come on to the match in a minute, but I like the parlay Dynamo Kyiv and Qarabag. I think that is a parlay that I would probably be betting. But I just like Dynamo Kyiv -1. I think they've got goals in them. They played 3, won 3 this season. They haven't conceded a goal yet. I think they haven't conceded a goal yet in their qualification, and they're one. Obviously, they've only played one domestic match, but they haven't conceded a goal, and they've got a goal scorer, and that's where I'm concentrating here. I'm looking at. I like Dynamo Kyiv -1 against the Pafos side that I think are a bit out of their depth in this level, and I like a goal scorer who plays up front for Kyiv, and he also plays for the Ukraine national side, and that is Vanat. He's plus what is he, plus 145, I think he is, to score.
Yeah, plus 145.
From 45 to score any time. Well, this guy is prolific. I mean, his record is as good as anybody around European football. I know he's obviously playing in the league of the Ukrainian league, which isn't as high as like the Premier League and other teams around Europe, but 73 matches, 43 goals. He scored 13 goals, and he scored in 13 of his last 20 matches at the end of last season. And he started off this season in their matches. They played 3 matches, and Vanat has scored 2 goals in the 3 matches. Both of them were the first goal as well. So I'm going for. I think this guy. I expect a fairly comfortable home win. Well, it's home win. It's in Poland, but a home win for Kyiv here against a Pafos side. I think are very, very, very being very overrated by these odds here. I think they're the price is disrespectful to Dynamo Kyiv. I think this is a big level up, and I think if you expect them to win by a high number like 2, possibly even 3, which I think Dynamo Kyiv could win by 2 clear goals, you've got to go with the main striker at plus 143. I mean, he's up there as prolific as an Isaac for Newcastle, as not as much as a Haaland, but a top-notch striker in the Premier League, and you're getting plus 143. You wouldn't get it if it was any other team. It's because not many people follow the Ukrainian league and don't really look at him and just put up a plus 143. But if it was anybody else in European football with his current record in this match, I would expect you to be around about even money. So I'm going to go for Vanat to score at any time and Dynamo Kyiv to cover the spread of 1 goal, and if they win by exactly 1, it's a push. I can't see them getting beaten this match. And if you want to put them in the money line, -167 and Qarabag and the money line, but obviously odds on aways first legs are dangerous affairs. So I'd be slightly concerned about that, but I do expect a fairly comfortable night tonight for Dynamo Kyiv. And the -1 is now live on Bet Rivers at even money. So even money, Dynamo Kyiv -1, like that a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think the -1 on Dynamo Kyiv is a great price. For some reason, Pafos, I know they're one of Dan Roebuck's favourites, Pafos, but they always seem a bit overrated in the market, especially when they're away from home. The results away from home are not all that convincing. They did beat Maccabi Tel Aviv in the last round away, but that wasn't really away. And they played 10 men for over 60 minutes, I do believe. So,
well, the other thing you've got to think about as well, and this is very important, why you would expect them to get the job done, or Dynamo Kyiv to have to get the job done with the convening league, because Pafos are very strong at home, as you say, because it's 100 degrees, 33 degrees. It's one of the most humid times of the year at this time of year. Going to Cyprus in August to play a football match is going to be a tough ask, whoever you are. So it is important, imperative for Dynamo Kyiv to get over there with a fairly comfortable, like 2-goal margin lead, because the conditions. That's why Pafos are very good. Their home record, their rate record isn't that great, because nobody would, don't matter who you are, really, nobody will fancy going there to start the season when you're probably, you're not at your peak fitness. You are fit, but you're working towards your peak fitness, and you've got to go to a really, really hot and humid conditions to play a fierce competitive match in the Champions League. You want that job done. So I'm going to go for just Dynamo Kyiv to cover that one and take a decent lead over to Cyprus in a week's time, where the weather is going to be sweltering.
Probably the most significant trend on the game. 70% of the money is on the under. Someone did put it up in chat, I think, as a possible under for this game. I agree the 2-0 is very much possible, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was actually 3 either, really, in this game. I think it will be quite a comfortable win. You mentioned the Qarabag game. They travel to Macedonia to face Shkendija. -155 favourites. Qarabag, quite a lot of noise about them at the moment this summer. They've got a great chance of qualifying for the league stage. Winner of this faces Ferencvaros or Ludogorets. That's very winnable. Known for being a fortress at home, Qarabag over in Azerbaijan, but they've really improved away from home in the last couple of years. Comfortably got past the Irish side in the last round here. -155 on the money line. You wouldn't be opposed to betting on that, would you? Here, Nigel. There's a big.
Well, I did say if you wanted to play a double or a parlay, I'd put them in the parlay. But I don't really like betting -155 teams in first legs. Qarabag could get a 0-0 draw here and go back there and win it 1 or 2-0. The only reason I made a case for them, really, I'm no expert on Macedonian leagues. I'm sure that someone on this chat will know a lot more better than me. But there's been an awful lot of money for Qarabag in the build-up to this match. And the other reason that I wanted to get with them was because of the form of the Macedonian side in qualification against New Saints of Wales. Now, New Saints of Wales would be ranked very, very low in my Europe Champions League teams to follow. And I would expect Qarabag to be, I know Qarabag will be a lot better up levels on that side in Wales. And these Macedonian side really struggled to get past them. It was 0-0 in the first leg, and they scraped through 2-1. So if you're struggling, that's the form line that I'm looking at here, which I think earlier in the week when I was looking at this show, I'm sure that Bet Rivers were -110 Qarabag on the money line.
They've been well backed.
Yeah, and now they're -152. So that suggests that some, the -110 was completely wrong price. -152 is probably more the right price. But there is this kind of worry in my head, betting people at -152, if you've missed the boat, is that Qarabag may settle for a draw, and we know they're virtually impossible to get beaten at this level at home when they get these kind of sides. So, if they get a draw, they're still going to be heavy minus money favourites to qualify, and they don't have to go all out for this win. But just judging by the form line of the New Saints, I don't expect Qarabag to have much problems tonight. So if you want to get with the price, we have missed the value, but Qarabag and Dynamo Kyiv in a parlay would probably be where I'm going to go. But I'm just not going to recommend that purely and simply because I think we've missed the value. and there is a good chance that there might be a draw here. I'd rather take two teams at -152 at home in a parlay in first legs rather than trust the away team to do the business.
Yeah, I mean, the big shock in the last round was Shkendija beating FCSB of Romania. 15-1 they were away from home. They won the second leg 2-1. The home leg, I remember watching that. I got done by them, actually. I was on FCSB, and they were very lucky to win that first leg. Shkendija will be playing in the Conference League group stages at worst. So I've got to get used to them. I've never actually really follow them too much, but they will be in the Conference League at very worst this season. Byron said he's going to be on the Macedonians plus 3/4 of a goal. RHM BTTS on Malmo. Copenhagen is his banker. We're going to talk about the Rangers game in a minute. RHM. Leagues Cup. Check yesterday's show, RHM. Me and Nathan Joyce discussed tonight's games there. Referee Briofsky says Qarabag team total over 1.5 goals at about -125. I think that's a good bet. Qarabag are a much improved side. I think they'll be in the group stage of the Champions League, Qarabag. And from what I've gathered, they have improved the squad over the last 6 months. A few comments about the Rangers game. Let's move into it now. Rangers against Viktoria Plzen, and Rangers are a shade over even money to win the first leg. Over and under 2.5 goals is set pretty tight there. -121, -108. Both teams score yes at -141. All of the talk in the build-up, of course, this game regards the Rangers boss, Russell Martin, who gave an incredible, not outburst, but a criticism of his own team after a weekend draw in the SPL. How do Rangers respond from that one, do you think, Nigel? Because it was rather unusual from a manager to dig in his claws so much to his own players.
It's not unusual for him, though. He's got a tendency to do that. He likes to lay the blame in his players. It didn't really work at Southampton, did he? He didn't really do very well in the Premier League. He's a man who sticks with his principles and doesn't change his principles. Hence the reason he's probably been in 4 jobs in the last 3 years. He doesn't really want to change. It was a very, very disappointing start to the season for Rangers at the weekend. A really, really, really bad performance and a draw at home is not, a draw away at Motherwell is not the result that you want to have. But at home, you would expect a response tonight and a match. I think that's why he done it. I think he done it to get a response and try to get them pumped up for this Champions League match. They did okay in the first round, or the preliminary round before this, when they beat Panathinaikos at home. They went over to Greece and got a draw, which was a really good performance. And the optimism around Rangers at the start of the season was that they were going to have a good season and challenge Celtic. A lot of people in the trade papers over here, the Racing Post, which is our betting newspaper over here, actually tipped them to win the league. I think the season's over after 1 game, so we will be crowned champions if they win again at the weekend. But this is a tough match to come in such a short period of time. Are we going to see a bounce back? I don't know. I think the Viktoria Plzen will come here with huge amount of confidence, because this is exactly the way Rangers started their season last year. Exactly the same thing happened. They drew their opening game of the season in their domestic level. I think they played Hearts in the first game of last season. And then they were at home to Dynamo Kyiv in the second leg in Europe, and they got beat 2-0. They went over to Kyiv, got a 1-1 draw, and got beat in the Champions League at this stage and got eliminated from the competition. So will it happen again? There has been slight move for Rangers today. I think they hit even money early, so they bounce back now to +105. Plzen are +225, the tie 265. But I couldn't bet Rangers at +105. I certainly couldn't bet Rangers +105. Plzen with a half a goal start and get the draw in your favour as well, perhaps would be the way I want to go. I mean, there were a shadow of the team that the Rangers were before, and it's a dangerous game to get Russell Martin to sort of talk like that with those players. I think the fans will quite like it at the beginning, but they'll turn on the manager very, very quickly, and he could be someone who might not last long there at all if he carries on doing that. They've got to chase down their bitter rival Celtic. They've given up ground already. This is a must-win match tonight, and usually when the pressure is on Rangers in recent years in the Champions League, not obviously they've done well in the Europa League, and they've done well in other competitions as well, but in the Champions League they haven't made that holy grail of the Champions League stage that we want to see, those new stages that they have there. So I'm leaning for another an error here. I mean, I just can't. I think Plzen will score. I think Rangers are all about getting behind the crowd, and if Viktoria Plzen can quiet this Rangers crowd very, very, very quickly, they've got a great chance of upsetting a Rangers side who morale is on the floor at the moment. So I'm going to go for Plzen plus a half. Not official play, but that'll be my lean. I'm going to bet the Dynamo Kyiv match is the only bet I'm going to play, but I can't be betting Rangers at even money. No way.
Yeah, I can't either. Viktoria Plzen are all them sides in Europe. I never like to bet against them, Nigel, because they go under the radar. Someone, I think I saw on X recently, described them as a serial accumulator of coefficient points. And that sums them up, really. They're actually quite battle-hardened in Europe. Nearly, they weren't far off knocking out Lazio in last year's Europa League, actually. Give a very good account of themselves. Just their sort of place, actually, that they'll enjoy here being the underdog. And, if they can get them on the board early, the atmosphere is not going to be great, is it?
Yeah, they do come here. I mean, there's a good point there made in the chat there. They do come here about their goalkeeper, which is obviously their main goalkeeper. And that's a bit of a blow. Well, it's a massive blow for them. And I think for Rangers, it will be like getting amongst the reserve goalkeeper straight away. That's probably the reason why Rangers are being bet today. But Rangers are just not. They've got so many new players. They've got a new manager. They're going through a massive transitional period of time. And the manager will not change. He will stick to the process, stick to they'll play it out from the back. They'll do exactly what he did. And he's stubborn in his approach to how he should play football. And you either stick with him or you get rid of him. That's how it is. He's not going to change. He's not going to change his way. And he's going to give up chances because these Rangers side have been asked to play a totally different way under all their managers. They've probably played a lot more direct under other managers. Russell Martin is all about playing it from the back. And they're going to concede a lot of silly goals at the early part of this campaign, and to do it in a huge Champions League game where so much money's at stake, I think it could be a bit suicide for Russell Martin there, because I think that football suicide because they're going to concede, and I think it's got a game. This has got goals on this match as well, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Plzen get something from it. The old Desmond Tutu might be a way to go forward, but I think there's goals in this one as well.
Yeah, you're right. You just know at some point that Rangers will give the ball away in a ridiculous area for a massive chance for Plzen. Whether they take it or not, let's see. But I think the message here is that we can't trust Rangers really. Try and get with Viktoria Plzen in a certain form. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I could see a draw here personally. And yes, I think, Tristan, you are right. I think Lewis Jones said he is fading Rangers for a while. I think a thing he does with Russell Martin teams, it just takes a while for that. It's such a specific system, isn't it, that you have to take some time. 95% of the money, though, is on Rangers. Same with the tickets as well. Nearly 90% of the money is on the over. That doesn't surprise me. It does look like match for goals. Just looking through some of the other comments here. Brad Betts, welcome in. They did somehow squeeze past the vet. They had a lot of shots. Maybe this time they'll convert them, though. Sometimes these teams need a couple of games just to get up to speed in the season. There's other matches on today. We've got Europa League and Conference League. Hamrun Spartans against Maccabi Tel Aviv. I think this is the one match that we haven't got anything on, actually. It's just a bit too tricky. I did actually watch a bit of the Spartans against Dynamo Kyiv. The match did feel quite open. I would lean towards goals. Maccabi Tel Aviv, the Israeli champions, have dropped down to Europa League qualifying here. I mean, their big problem is that they don't have a proper home advantage at the minute, but they should. I mean, they're minus 435. They should be going to Malta and winning this game. I'd have a very small lean of goals, overs, just based on what I saw against Dynamo Kyiv, but I can't get involved here in this particular match. And I don't think this match interested you either, Nigel. Did he? Too many question marks.
The Spartans just sound like a team like when you were little league as a kid. The Spartans, Redskins, and Spartans. They're like that. The Maltese league is a league where I sort of like. I have levels, and I'm not getting involved in the Maltese league, Steve. I'll leave that to you, mate. That's your job.
It's a step too far in for me. Yeah. But they are back to Maccabi Tel Aviv by 93% of the money. For those who Efi Brodowski, there's a pick. Maccabi -1. A big game for the Tel Aviv, according to the local press. That'll do us. I wouldn't be betting on the Maltese side, that's for sure. This game does interest me in the Conference League, though. Klaksvik against Neman Grodno. This is the Faroese champions against the Belarusian side. Bet on Klaksvik here at plus 116. Very strong side at home in the Faroe Islands on the artificial surface. They're actually unbeaten in all competitions this season. They've won 22 out of 24 games. Okay, most of that is against Faroese opposition, but it still takes some doing. The winners of this tie will face Rayo Vallecano, a Spanish side from La Liga. So it's a bit of a death sentence. But usually, if you bet on the Faroese sides at home, even against a decent side on handicaps, they can get the job done. By far the best Faroese team this season, as good as anyone in sort of Finland. They'd even give a good game to the other teams in Scandinavia. So against Belarusian opposition, who I must admit I don't know much about them, but they are sixth in Belarus, which doesn't exactly bode too well. The second leg, they'll probably win that Neman, but away from home in the Faroe Islands, KA Klaksvik for me, plus 116 on the money line. It's a bit of an obvious bet. We've got the start of the EFL Cup, Nigel, as well today. The preliminary round. I don't think this has ever happened.
I didn't even know I didn't even know it was a preliminary round. I mean, football's just changed. I've literally haven't really. I've tried not to have loads of time off football and looking at the tennis for the whole time. So I know this is coming. Now the only reason I looked at this game is because Oldham played one of the teams that I follow. Didn't they play? They played Bromley at the weekend.
Bromley, yeah.
And I read the match report, and it was like 90 minutes of the life of anybody who went. They'll never getting it back. It was absolutely diabolical. It was one of the worst games of football. The local reporter said it was one of the worst games he'd seen for years. It was only 0.2 xG. No, they played MK Dons, didn't they? MK Dons. It was. I read the report. It wasn't. Was it Oldham? Who did they play?
Let me just. I'll check back.
I'm sure. I think it was MK Dons actually. I read the report of the match before I'd done it. It was MK Dons v Oldham. It was a 0-0 draw. MK Dons averaged 0.20. This is the team that are favourites for League Two.
I backed them as well. I get sucked into them every year.
Oldham averaged 0.48. There was one shot on target in the match, and it was literally like an awful game. You go on to Google and read the match report on that match. It just sounds like a turgid affair. And Accrington Stanley played out an equally turgid affair on their opening day of the season in a 1-1 draw, where they averaged 0.57 xG and 0.35 was the opponent. And there was literally one of them didn't have a shot on target and still managed to score. And the other team had one shot on target in the whole match. So that suggests to me tonight that we're in for a bit of an awful affair. They played Gillingham, who was one of the teams that the favourites. Gillingham scored from an own goal. That's why they didn't have a shot on target and registered goal. But the important factor was for me here was that Accrington limited Gillingham to 0.35 xG, and Oldham limited MK Dons to 0.20 xG. So now they're playing each other in a cup game, preliminary round to get in the draw, the main draw. So I think that's got to be an unders bet there straight away. Under 2.5, minus 124, definitely 2 unders. I think that's a big unders.
Yeah, I mean Accrington Stanley there. Yeah, they are one of the favourites to be relegated, aren't they? I think from the division. But I noticed a lot of the games at the weekend in the opening round, low number of goals, low sort of XG certainly across the board. It felt like a lot of teams were rusty, miles off the pace so far offensively. So this is the last thing they want, isn't it? A preliminary round. Well,
there is a tendency that he might go at it a little bit in the cup, but judging by the performances from both these sides at the weekend, I mean, oh my God, I mean them 2 days for that MK Dons game. You're betting MK Dons to win that title and get 0.2 at home to Oldham, newly promoted Oldham. Oh my, you got a long season ahead. And I thought under 2.5 goals. If they're backing out their stats from the weekend, that's got to be a bet there.
Yeah, of course, the EFL has got underway, League One, League Two. The Championship is starting this current weekend. It soon flies up, really does. And I tell you what, the questions that everyone keeps asking me is, with the Championship, how are Wrexham going to do? That's a worldwide question, isn't it? And how are Birmingham City going to do? I actually watched the first 2 episodes of the documentary on Amazon, Birmingham City, Brady to the Blues or something like that it's called. Or along those lines. And coming up at the weekend is the Friday night's the first game. I think it is Birmingham Ipswich. But in the Championship outright market, we, of course, gave some of our thoughts on the Insider last week on this. But I thought I would just grab you now, Nigel, while you're here, about this outright market in the Championship. Great record of teams coming straight back up from the Premier League recently, which is why I guess Ipswich Town are favourites. But how do you see the two big new boys getting on, Birmingham and Wrexham? Are they going to threaten?
Well, the first thing is this is a lot weaker Championship from last season. I mean, I think it's a really weak division. And I think the two teams that are at the top of the market there will be fighting for the title at the end of it, Ipswich and Southampton. The big question mark is Birmingham. I mean, they're the ones who've been bet all the way through the summer. I think they started around about 16-1, now down to 7-1, and they start off the season at home to Ipswich on Friday night. So that will be a real blockbuster to see how they step up. I expect good things from Birmingham. I wouldn't bet them a 7, but I wish I was sitting on them on a bigger price. I think you can expect good things from them. Ipswich have bought well. They've got a brilliant manager, Kieran McKenna, who could link with Manchester United. At one stage he was the favourite to be the Man United job. Huge stock. Could have got a job at Chelsea as well. Chelsea were linked with him. He decided to stay at Ipswich. He's gone down and stayed with them again. He's got money in from selling Delap to Chelsea. They've invested the money very cleverly. They bought Akbom, who was the top goal scorer in the Championship a few years ago. They've got some good players that they're going to be there or thereabouts. Southampton will be there or thereabouts. As you say, the top two will come through. Coventry interests me. Frank Lampard done a brilliant job when he came in, just, went on that unbelievable run. They were bottom of the table, got into the playoffs and just kept on going. Missed out on the top season, full season with him. That will be interesting. And my team QPR, I'm worried about them. They've just bought that. They bought a guy from manager of Rennes, Julien Stéphane. He's the manager at QPR this season. What's he like? Any good?
Well, he's usually a very good impact manager, and then he'll get sacked within like a year. It's the first time I think he's ever come into a club in the summer. He always comes in and does like a firefighting job for someone. So I'm interested to see how he gets on. Good man manager, like good motivator, but he's one of them where it just his influence seems to wear off sort of relatively quickly within a 12-month period. So I could see you getting out of the traps quite well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't recruited by Scunthorpe United, Matt. Oh no, that wasn't me. It must have been another one. I think the top two. I think Will Steele comes in at Southampton, does a good job. Good young manager. I think that Ipswich have just got the money from the Delap parachute payments, and they won't be that far away at all. And Birmingham, the interest on Wrexham, I think they are their level now, aren't they? I think this is where they are. I think the money they got, they're obviously too good for non-league when they first come in. They got promoted there, ran away with promotion again in League Two. Last year they ran into a Birmingham side who were a lot better, but got promoted. This is where the players they are, the caliber of the players they are. I think they're a mid-table Championship side. If they go on a good run, if they make the playoffs, they've had a good season. They're not going to get relegated. I don't think they're going to challenge. I think the gap between the top and the mid and the bottom in the Championship is bigger than it's ever been. And I would expect it to be between the front three. If Birmingham can get off to a good start, then they could be anything. But if they get off to a ropey start, I wouldn't trust them to invest. Well, they will invest, but I don't think they get the right player. I think Ipswich has got everything about Ipswich looks good at the moment, and I like it. I think the manager's good, team's good, and if you look at the data from last season in the Premier League, they were slightly unlucky to go down. When they realised they were going to go down, they sort of gave up a little bit. But their data at the beginning of the season was good, mid-table was good, and they should have won more matches than they did at that stage. And then at the end, when they realised we were going down, they didn't perform. But like I say, the Southampton and Ipswich are way above a lot of those teams in the mid-table down to bottom of the Premier League.
Yeah, just looking through some of the comments here. Duncan Evans says Birmingham are food for thought. A says Southampton were awful last season. He hopes they don't come straight back up, as they'll probably go straight back down. They've got a good manager now, Will Steele. I think he can get them sorted. They're my pick to certainly. I'm backing them to win the league on an each way basis at 5-1, and I think they'll be in the top two. Birmingham are going to be my pick to actually win the playoffs. Personally, this season, Effie says Coventry at 12-1 is his preferred bet.
Coventry top 6 is the bet, I think. I think they're about plus 110. Coventry finishing in the top 6, but the trouble is, just a lot of money. If you're backing teams to finish in the top 6 at plus 110, you've got to tie your money up until June next year. It's a lot of money to tie up, isn't it, for a +1?
It is. Yeah, it really is. And of course, at the bottom of the table, all sorts of problems going on. Sheffield Wednesday look like they're shooing to go down. So
I was watching an interview today with their captain Barry Bannon, who stayed with them. They've only got 14 players. That's all they have, 14 players in the Championship, and you're up against teams like Birmingham who are spending 10 million. And you got the likes of Ipswich spending 15 million on players, and they've got 15 actual players in the team, in the squad. It's incredible.
It's bonkers how that's actually been allowed to happen. I think Leicester have been well backed in the first match against them this weekend. Can't even find the odds right now, actually, but I imagine they'll be very, very short. Leicester at risk of about a 10-point deduction, I heard as well. So that's why they're not very.
They've got QPR's old manager, Fuentes, who's a good manager. He'll do well. But obviously, they've got good players, but they will get deducted points
next season.
They've got to start fast, and you couldn't look at a better start than playing Sheffield Wednesday. 1-6, Leicester are to beat Sheffield Wednesday, -600.
1-6. Yeah, I saw a lot of people betting on the half-time result.
They're being bet to -800. That's something. -800. They're in, and they've lost all their good players as well. Barry Bannon's the only one who stayed. I mean, Windass has gone. Sheffield Wednesday lost some really proper players. The managers obviously didn't come back from training. He wasn't paid, so he didn't turn up. Very good manager and role. 14 players, big problems.
Tristan, it's a real shame about Morecambe. That is really unfortunate circumstances that has been going on there. There's been several questions about the tennis, Nigel. And a good chance to remind folk that to tune in about an hour and a quarter's time on Betting Weekly Tennis Live.
That's on. I think it's Tim and Rory looking at Tennis Betting Weekly live today. But I mean, what were the questions? I'm happy to answer the questions.
There was a couple of questions. I think A was asking about the. Just going to try. Here we go now.
I've got one here. Do you think Towson and Kyiv will go 3 sets?
That was it.
Yeah, I think that we'll do. Hopefully, Kyiv wins. She was our tip at the start at 14-1. Rory actually liked Towson at 50-1, but never put her up as a tip. So there were two people we like to do. I thought Towson was quite a big price on the money line to beat Kyiv, even though I've bet Kyiv to win the tournament. I think that'll be a long match. They're both playing really well. They're both serving really well, and it's quite a quick court. So I expect that would go up. I think that could go long 3 sets, definitely.
Yeah, it gets exciting, the hardcourt season now, doesn't it? With the tennis countdown to the US Open. It's an extended US Open, isn't it? And they're doing like a mixed doubles the week before or something like that, just to extend the tournament even longer.
More money. I won't be watching that. I won't be watching the mixed doubles like I won't be watching the Maltese leagues.
You're off out there, Nigel, aren't you? End of the month, are you?
Going the 27th. I'm going to New York. I'm going to see Oasis again in New York. So I'm going to go to tennis as well when I'm there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
AZ Flights, whilst you remind me, absolutely, we need the likes. There's plenty watching. Do hit that like button and do hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel and feel like helping us out. We are getting closer to 11,000 subscribers now. Cholo Aye, I think is how I pronounce you. Buenos dias. Extremely late today. We'll have to catch the replay. You can watch live, you can watch on demand. It is very much appreciated. And a reminder today as well, later, we've got Betting Weekly Hardball with Doug and Chris, and then the Fast Break Show with Doug and Albert later on. That is at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Betting Weekly Tennis Live in an hour and 10 minutes with Tim and Rory. Nigel, what is your best bet today?
I'm going to go with Dynamo Kyiv -1 goal against Pafos at even money. That's my best bet. My next best is in the same match, Vanet to score at any time at +143. And my final pick of the show would be under 2.5 goals in the matches with the two dullest sides on the weekend in League Two, Accrington and Oldham. I think it was -124.
Yeah, I think my best bet would actually be Klaksvik in the Conference League, and then followed by Malmo straight on the money line today against FC Copenhagen. Match kicks off in about an hour's time. It was a pleasure, Nigel, as always. Looking forward to the Champions League Tuesdays with you this season. Best luck with all your plays. And
thanks, mate.
I'll see you all tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live with Will White. Is going to be on the show. More Champions League stuff, Leagues Cup as well over in America. Remember to gamble responsibly. Take care, everyone. And as I say, cash those winning tickets today. See you tomorrow.